Is that they're very expensive, and the budget that we got from GI was just a couple of £1,000s, and it wasn't really enough to make the work in a kind of ambitious way to be substantial and stand up to the weather and people climbing on it. So I was still working out how I might make that happen, and had been applying for other funding. We got funding from Glasgow City Heritage Trust as well because of this discussion around the heritage of Glasgow's architecture. So we were going to do an online symposium, which again couldn't happen immediately at the time, but we're hoping that will still happen at some point. But the production budget was still not quite where it should have been, and at that point I was approached by Sculpture Placement Group, who had been wanting to devise, they were using GI as an example, but wanted to try and work with an artist to support them to make a public work for GI that could then be repurposed afterwards for another organisation or institution or something. So I was very happy for them to become involved, and they said they would go off and see if they could bring in another partner who would take the work after GI. Because again, there's the issue when you make big substantial public works like these concrete blocks, where there's like 20 concrete blocks, after the festival, where do they go? You have to really think about that waste or that storage, or so it was, I guess I've been around enough that I'm aware of those issues, so I was very happy to work with them to think about what was going to happen to the work afterwards, because otherwise you wouldn't really be able to make it in concrete, because you would have to consider it's too short a time to make something like that and then smash it up afterwards, or I wouldn't be able to store it. So there's a lot of issues attached to making big outdoor works, and it's important that you consider them. So Sculpture Placement Group went off and they brought in the partnership with SWG3, with Muttley, who came in on the project and gave us financial support at the outset. He put money into the production with the agreement that after GI they would get the blocks kind of as second-hand artworks and use them in one of the new bar developments, which makes me very cool with my children. I'm very happy about. But yeah, so that seemed to work out. It gave us, we had enough budget to finish it. Some of the works get a wee bit roughed up on location, but not in a way that it makes them unusable, and they're now in storage, just about to get put into a new bar area on the roof at SWG3.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. So I was very happy to work like that, because it meant that I knew, even as the work was being made, I knew what was going to happen to it afterwards, but they didn't have any input at all into directing what the work was going to be. They were involved, clearly I told them what the work was going to be, but they didn't exert any control over the content or anything, which in a way, if you were being commissioned to do something, you probably wouldn't do exactly what I did. But I really like the idea that they're just sculptures and they've been repurposed, and the reason that they were made still stays the same. But it's not like it was a special commission for bar furniture for SWG3. It's works that I made in response to like research I was doing that now has another home.